Hello, everyone, and welcome to Crypto Atlas. In this episode, we are going over Reflex Finance, and we have the CEO of the company on the call with us to help address some major questions that I've come up with. I know a lot of the people in the community would also be very curious about and learning more about what's going on with Reflex. So I'm here with Ryan. I'll be introducing him in just a moment. A quick disclaimer, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Everything I'm sharing is my own opinion. It's my own research. I highly encourage you to go do your own research. In fact, I'm going to be providing links to all of the material that you need for them down in the description. That'll be for their Twitter account, for their website, for their white paper, as well as for their Discord. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and roll on over to Ryan and let him introduce himself and a little bit more about what he does with the company. How's it going, Ryan?
It's going great. Thanks for having me on. I'm glad you we actually finally made the time to make this happen. It's always great hearing you and listening to your content. So
Thank you.
finally,
Yeah.
yeah, finally I was able to make it on and love to chat with you a little bit.
Yeah, happy to have you on. So you're the CEO now of Reflex Finance, and just kind of an overhead cap of what it is that you do at Reflex. Can you give us a little bit of details behind the scenes of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's been a big adjustment, obviously. Many who watch your channel, I'm sure they are familiar that, I came from Safemoon and I was handling all the product developments that we had there within at least the software space, the software niche. And so, coming over to Reflex, it was, a big adjustment in terms of, what's now under my management. So before it was just product. Now it's everything from legal to staffing to marketing to, all the good stuff that runs a company. It's really exciting. But we have a strong team. I've been able to adjust with Miles and Ray and, Crypto Foo and Rabbit. And we've just been really, I'd say 0 to 100 since I've been in the role. I wanted to take like a few days off, and now it's just been 0 to 100 ever since I got in. But it's really exciting stuff, and that's the whole thing about startups, right? It takes a certain type of person and that ilk, to really make that happen. So I love it. It's chaotic, it's fun, it's exciting, and every day is a new day, as you can see.
Yeah, I mean, you said it several different times, but I want to really just elaborate a little bit more on that. You said that it sounds exciting, it is exciting, but in addition to that, you sound excited. And just having that kind of an experience is why I love to bring people like you on board for these sort of videos now, where people in their own projects can convey emotionally and just express very much how passionate they are behind their projects. So I'm very happy to have you on here, and I'm glad that you're able to help answer a lot of these questions regarding Reflex. So I have a list of questions I've prepared. I'm going to go ahead and roll into the first question, which is, can you tell us a little bit about Reflex Finance?
Yeah, absolutely. So Reflex Finance, right now, what we're doing is, as people have seen the roadmap, the way that we're launching our products with the tokenomics that we have is we're really all about those BUSD reflections. Holding the token as volumes rise, you're paid out in BUSD reflection rewards. That's been kind of a staple with Reflex from the day that we started. Now, as we're starting to grow and we're starting to build more utility to Reflex, we're wanting to change the DeFi space in a whole for the positive, right? Because as DeFi grows, you have a huge barrier to entry, right? And that barrier to entry is all of these brand new projects that come into the space. A lot of them, they don't have the resources or the time or the knowledge or the experience to launch their first token. They might have great ideas, great concepts, great tech, but getting into the space, as Crypto Atlas, when you get into the space, what happens is a lot of these projects will fail right before they get in and before they even start their first project, because there's such a learning curve, that goes into launching your first token. And that's a huge barrier to entry for a lot of projects. So what we want to do is, just for one of the projects that we're going to be adding utility, that will be adding utility to our project, to our token, is our launchpad. And our launchpad obviously will make it easier for a lot of these new up and coming creators and entrepreneurs and project owners, to start launching products in this space and then allowing their ideas and their concepts and their new innovative tech to fly. And so that's one thing that we're launching in our roadmap. After that, we have an NFT marketplace, and then beyond that, we have much more exciting things we can talk about. But that's really what we want to do, is we want to make DeFi a safer place, a more inviting place, and a place where you actually have innovation that can thrive, rather than entrepreneurs and new project owners coming into the space that, right when they come in, they already have that barrier to entry and they stop right there. And, we're trying to make it more streamlined for a lot of these new entrepreneurs.
Now, we know Miles as well, and I am looking at your guys' website here, and it shows our team. So is your whole team doxed, KYC'd? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so we are doxed. There are certain people within our team that we have not doxed yet, and we're still up in the air on how we'll handle that if we want to do that. As you know, it's a company, right? So you have companies. Every company has employees. They're going to have employee turnover, people who come and go. And for the safety and for the respect of the employees that we do have that work for the company, we want to make sure that if we do dox people, it's okay with them. We understand that crypto can be a pretty tough place sometimes, and whether you're in a company or you leave a company, and how you're treated is very different in the crypto space than it is in traditional tech. So we're very particular about who we dox and if it's okay with that person, and making sure that we keep the respect on the table. So that would be something that later on, if people are doxing the company, then they have come forward and said, hey, I'm okay with that.
Do you have an audit?
Yes, absolutely. So we have an audit for all of our smart contract products. So we actually just released our most recent audit. We upgraded our V2 contract. We have our staking audit. We have our launchpad audit as well for the router that we're launching with the launchpad. So all of our products are audited, and that actually brings me into kind of another point where when we launch projects for other entrepreneurs that are coming out with new tokens, we offer a package that allows them to get their smart contract audited as well. And that kind of contributes to this whole idea of a more safer DeFi, a more safer launchpad, because obviously as a holder, when you're putting your hard-earned digital assets into a new project, you want to make sure that all of those things are in line before you actually pull the trigger. So we're trying to do that as packages with like a gold and silver tier to just make it easier for a lot of projects that come in and want to launch off of our launchpad, because that is better for the holder. It's better for the entrepreneur. It makes their contract safer. And it's obviously great for us because we know that the projects that we take in when they get KYC and we do those background checks on them, we have a lot more of an affinity to working with those projects in the future as well.
And what made you choose to be on the Binance Smart Chain?
So I wasn't here in the company at that time. Miles and Ray at the time felt that Binance Smart Chain would have been the best launch chain, and I believe that's for like the gas fees and kind of where everyone's going as far as looking at their gas fees and looking at how transactions we manage. Not to say that we're not going to be moving over to Ethereum as well, but now with Binance Smart Chain having this new migration, there's a new launch. I believe it's like a BSC to Ethereum bridge that they launched recently. So it makes it a lot easier for token projects now to start on BSC, and then if other holders want to partake in those projects, it makes it easier for them to also bridge over to Ethereum. So that was something that was a decision that was made when I wasn't here. But I would say that BSC, even if I was to do my own token, for example, as an entrepreneur, I would start on BSC as well because of the lower gas fees.
What are some of the problems your project has encountered leading to this point, and what did you do to overcome them?
Well, if you haven't seen, I don't know if you noticed, we had the migration that had happened.
I saw a little bit. That's part of the reason why I did this question. I'm thinking what the community is thinking.
Yeah. So the migration, we actually did a very, very good job in the migration. I will say from beginning to end, we really strategically looked at every little thing that could go wrong and we planned for it every step of the way. As far as moving our LP, our liquidity from the V1 contract over the new V1 contract, how we did it, how we allowed the majority of the holders to migrate manually, and then finishing up the airdrop at the end. There was one little thing at the in the middle of that migration, and it was like 60 seconds or 90 seconds, not even that long, of a smart contract was written. And this is like a testament to the industry, right? That you have to really, really be careful. You could have a perfectly audited contract, which we do, but this little thing that happened wasn't an exploit or anything like that of our contract. It was just a moment in time when we unpaused trading to move the rest of the liquidity over, and right when that happened, someone went in, bought some V1 for really cheap, and then migrated it over and then sold it on V2. So little things like, and that was not even a minute of time that they did that. So they literally wrote a smart contract that listened, for that event to happen. And then once that happened, it immediately automatically bought and then migrated and sold. So that's like, that's something too you hear a lot of these projects, right? They migrate to V2. There's so much that goes into it. And you can have everything perfect, but at the end of the day, everything that you do, you have to make sure that you're always putting contingency method contingency measures in place.
Red leather,
And
yellow leather, right?
yeah, exactly. And and it was, but I'll say at the end of the day, after that had happened, we said, you know what? We're still going to make sure that we put in the liquidity, we inject it back into the contract. We're going to make sure that everyone's taken care of, and there will be no loss. So that's exactly what we did, because we have a commitment to our holders. And that's, I believe, as a business and as a company, that's how you should, handle a situation like that. So we all got together, we made the executive decision, and then we injected the contract with the funds that were lost from that small little 60-second gaffe.
And you touched on liquidity. That's actually leading into my next question, which is, do you have any liquidity locked? And if so, for how long?
Yeah, so we had liquidity locked with our V1 contract when we launched with Pink Sale. Now we're looking into other ways that we're going to be using the liquidity. One of those ways is more exchanges, obviously. We want to make sure that as we bring on more exchanges and we raise that volume, we want to ensure that we have enough liquidity to do that. You see a lot of contracts, and this is kind of the catch-22, I would say. See, a lot of contracts, they say, great, we're going to lock all of our liquidity for X amount of years or X amount of time. And it gives, the initial holders those feel good, like, vote of confidence, right? They have those feel goods. And the problem with locking all of your liquidity or most of your liquidity right out of the gate is that when you have to be more flexible down the road, when you need to say you need to upgrade your contract, say you need to use some liquidity for an exchange, say you need to grow in some kind of way where you need to add utility or raise the volume. Well, what happens? So what happens at that point is you can't do those things. Or if you're with a third party that locks that liquidity, then you have to go to that third party. You have to talk to them. They have to come back and say, okay, well, we'll do it for you, but here's the price. So it gets very complex. So, when we locked our liquidity, we did lock it the first time right out of the gate to give that confidence to the holders that, we're here for the long haul. We're going to be doing this. As the token matured and as we started seeing more growth with the liquidity that we have now, we have plans to start using it in different ways with exchanges and being able to use it in a way that basically will raise our volumes. So there's one thing I think that people who are listening to this that are maybe entrepreneurs and project owners, yes, it's a catch-22. It's a good thing because you get that vote of confidence from your holders out of the gate. And they feel like, well, you can't rug pull, the project. It's there, it's set. There are pros, but then the cons, obviously, we've seen with, even with Safemoon and with others, if you want to start, adding utility and being more flexible, you're going to need to somehow tap into that liquidity, because all of the other third parties or the other partners that you want to do business with that can raise those volumes will need to have access to that somehow.
Now, Ryan, you have a background experience with Safemoon. I mean, most of the people that are going to be watching my videos, because of how many Safemoon videos I've done, know about this. And you're no longer with that company. You're now the head of Reflex Finance. Reflex is actually on the Safemoon swap. There's still a relationship that's going on there. So I think for sure there's going to be people in my community. They're like, oh, when's he going to ask a question relating to stuff with Safemoon? So I want to make the focus here about Reflex Finance and what it is that you guys have going on. But there is something that does kind of tie in with Safemoon. So that leads into my next question. Since you helped bring your project that has evolved to be a key role with Safemoon Connect, do you have something new planned that is different you are building with Reflex? If so, can you give us any details or clues of what that is?
Yeah, so absolutely. I'll preface this by saying, what I've helped build and what I've brought to SafeMoon, I think that SafeMoon's in great hands. And what I'm building now at Reflex is different, way different than what I've built at SafeMoon. But I will say that we have a project that we have been developing ever since I got in. Ever since the first day that I got in, we literally started working on developing. I'm not going to go into detail of what it is, but it is very revolutionary, and it's something that the DeFi space definitely needs. I will say that it's a form of communication that the DeFi space desperately needs, and we've seen it time and time again, especially with segmented social media channels. A lot of tokens trying to, really have a direct communication line with other holders, or other brands or influencers having a direct line with other people. I think that this type of product that we're working on, it's never been done. I've never even seen it in just the traditional tech space. Definitely never seen it in Web3. But it's something you can classify it as DeFi and still have that direct communication line that you would need with your holders or with people who subscribe, to your, say, your channel, or to your, to your crypto, token holdings, or even your customers. So these are the kind of the things that we're thinking about. This has been something that I designed, and I would say designed end to end probably 3 years ago. And I shelved it, and it kind of collected some dust, and I pulled it back out, and I saw this problem, and it was just glaring at me in the DeFi space. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this would be perfect to be repurposed for the DeFi space. So I'm really excited about that. Like I said, we've already started development, and we'll release some more things on that when we're ready. But
Sure.
for now, I'm just gonna say, we've started the development already for that.
And can you tell us more about your launchpad that you're building?
Yeah, absolutely. So the launchpad will be more entrepreneurial centric, project centric, and holder centric. And what I mean by that is, when we bring on new partners to our launchpad, the very important thing to us is building a great relationship with these partners. As we bring them in, we hold their hand along the process. And that's kind of the gist of how we're going to be handling and how we're approaching our relationships, right? So you have a new partner that comes in. It's not like, okay, you launch in the launchpad, great. You did X amount in buys, and you owe us this much money, and then you're done. It's not like that with us. With us, we say, okay, great. You brought your project in. Instead of a 2%, we're gonna charge you a 1.5% of those buys. So all the buys that you get on your token at that within a 48-hour time frame, great. We have a strike price set, and we say, okay, well, you can have the option of buying back those tokens at that strike price, or we say, you know what, instead of buying them back, we can hold on to them, and we won't dump them right away. And a lot of launch pads, I believe, have this negative feel about them, because for an entrepreneur, when you come in for the first time, you launch your project, and then, you have to pay a 2%. And then right after everyone's buying and selling and you have this big dump, that's not really good for your project, right? It's not
Right.
helping you. And that's not going to give a vote of confidence to the other entrepreneurs out there that want to start their projects, because, at that point, that sends, a scare and a shockwave through all other holders. And, it's just not good for anybody. So we have mechanisms set in place where we don't do that right out of the gate. We don't dump them. So even if the time came where, okay, great, we got our, however X amount of tokens for that launch, over time, we will slowly, without hurting the charts, slowly offload those tokens. And then we also have plans on holding them long term. And holding them long term are our plans to create like an insurance over time, so that way we can come out with other packages where when other tokens come on board, we'll have insurance through all these other tokens that we've launched, so that if there was something that was bad that had happened, or maybe an exploit, or maybe something happened with a project, there's a way that we could, give back to the community of holders that put money into that project.
And what do you think will be the next big trend in DeFi we will see emerge soon, and why?
I think that we're seeing it now, and that trend is, you know, people making passive rewards and reflections off of holding cryptocurrency. I think that trend is, everyone's kind of seeing like, oh, wow, you can build in mechanisms into your cryptocurrency where you don't actually have to sell, that premium or that primary, crypto in order to make those reflections. And I think that's
I
really
agree.
it's a novel idea, because now people are, you're starting to see a lot more projects that offer these type of passive rewards. And it's, for a lot of these people, they want to hold long term. They're okay, they understand how crypto works, they understand that it flies high, it goes low, it flies high, it goes low. They understand the volatility, but they're not really ready to sell. So if they can hold on to it long term and then get the benefit of that volume and continue to make passive reflections, even in a different token like BUSD, then it's a win-win, because they're never having to touch their primary holdings.
Yeah, I agree with you. Time is one of the, I would say it is the most valuable thing that we have. And I think more projects are realizing that to be able to survive, they have to design mechanisms that can survive the test of time, that can leverage time itself. And having reward-based systems that provide, let's say, a stable coin, it creates a lot of opportunity there. I mean, for one, what if the project had some major vulnerability? It got rug pulled, the devs lost out, whatever. Then you're left with absolutely nothing. But if it's
Yeah.
a reflectionary token that gives you stable coin, you still have that stable coin. And then on the other
Exactly.
flip side is essentially a buyback, right? People oftentimes, they look at the market. Just look at Bitcoin right now. I got on my little overlay here. Bitcoin is down 8% today. These are the kinds of days where people suggest when you're supposed to buy. Again, I'm not a financial, this is not financial advice. But normally you say like, well, I wish that I could buy into this. I don't have any money right now. If you have a project that is literally giving you BUSD, you have money on the side. And if you really, really believe in that project, that's an opportunity where you can accumulate even more. Sure, there are projects with reflectionary models, for example, Safemoon, that has that own built-in design. So it's essentially handling the process for you, and there's a certain weighted value that's there as well. This is just something that's a little bit different. So I
Mhm.
agree with you. I think that I am overall, through projects that I'm talking with, in various ways. It could also be self-reflections of themselves. It's node projects, but I definitely agree with you on that. Well, that's the list of questions that I have available. That I had prepared, I should say. Is there anything else that comes to mind about Reflex Finance we didn't touch on you still want to talk about?
I think we touched on really the basics. It's really exciting, I would say, to see how the team has grown. And, obviously people aren't privy to the back end, right? And what I see and kind of how we work as a team. But, I can't stress this enough. The team is working hard, and they are all very talented. Like, it is a very like, I came in and it made my job so easy coming in as CEO, with the team that we have. Everyone from marketing to our product, to the mods, they're all just stellar in what they do. And I would say for a crypto that hasn't even been around for almost 2 months, like to see this and to see this type of organization and to see what Reflex has already built, it was very refreshing and very impressive to me. So I'll say this: I'm very, very, very bullish on Reflex in the next coming months. Not just because I'm here and I'm working here, but just because I've been a part of a lot of startups, a lot of teams, and seeing what they already have built in the back end is very impressive. So expect our redesign for our site to be coming soon. We'll be announcing that. I know a lot of people have been asking, hey, what about the site? Is that going to be redesigned? We've already started on the redesign. That's going very smoothly as well, and as well as the launchpad. So we're going to be launching Crypto Positive as our first project, and they're very excited. And we have a ton more projects already in the queue, getting ready to rock and roll, and we're getting those all lined up as well. So I think 2022 is definitely going to be a very good year. And even for Bitcoin, I believe that, with what's going on right now and we're having this mass adoption, I feel like Bitcoin as well is really going to be making some serious moves. And when that happens, we all know when that happens, altcoins tend to follow. Not
Yeah.
financial advice, but this is, that is just from seeing, I've been in this space for years. And it's really cool to see where we're at right now.
Yeah, I've also been in the space for years, and I totally agree with you on this. Looking at the market, it looks bad. It's down 8%. Sure. But I've also seen it down, like 84% and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh
just
yeah.
part of what the design is. And we are seeing
It is.
more adoption coming in, and that's one of the biggest aspects that'll help drive the price up. That and hyperinflation, the whole fiat being, essentially worthless, that's just going to kind of naturally feed in. But that's a whole other topic. So, Ryan, I want to
Yeah.
thank you so much for hopping on, helping answer these questions, sharing more information about Reflex. For everyone else that's watching, once again, if you want to learn more information, I will have links in the description available for you. That includes their Twitter account, their website, their white paper. You can go and be able to read through that as well, and a link to their Discord. So if you are new to the channel, do not forget to hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up like button. It definitely helps out with the YouTube search algorithm. Click the bell icon. God bless, and I will see you in the next episode.